The dollar collapse is coming, and XRP Ripple has been ready. My name is Coach JB. I am the top health, mindset, and crypto coach in the world. What you believe in your heart, you think in your mind, will eventually become your words and become your reality. If you can see it in your mind, eventually you can hold it right here in your hands. What you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mind. What gets ingrained in your subconscious mind becomes an unconscious activity. Now, this video is extremely important. Now, last year, I started sharing with you about the dollar deflating, and I've been talking about it throughout the last year. But Warriors, this is getting very, very serious. We're now printing at the SDR level, the infrastructure bill. Okay, we've broken down that quite a bit. I know we focused on crypto, but you got to think about all the money that's going into that infrastructure bill. The debt ceiling needs to be raised again, Warriors, and your dollar is deflating. So we're going to go through a video here that is really intense, but I hope that you can hear this on my computer. So it's really, really quiet. So if you can turn your speakers up, we're going to watch this video first. Okay. After this video, I'm going to take you through a couple documents. Now, what I'm not here to do is convince you to do anything. I'm not trying to do doom and gloom, but we're talking about facts, figures, numbers, logic. Okay. Now think about it. Since Bitcoin's inception, there's been more money printed than in history, Warriors, than in history. Think about that. Since the 2008 collapse, we have printed more money than in history. And in the last 18 months, there's been even more money printed than in history. So I just wanted to get that into your head. And I want you to listen to what this gentleman says. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through some documents. And I'm going to share with you, Warriors, what I think is going to happen within the next year to 2 years. Okay, so turn your speakers up. Hopefully you can hear this video.
What purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition?
I seek unanimous consent to speak for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, you have squandered the inheritance of a generation today. You have governed with abandon and exchanged financial assurance for instant gratification. Today, you didn't pass a budget plan. You passed a death wish for America. It is easy for you to sit up there and authorize $68 trillion over the next 10 years because you will never have to shoulder the financial burden of your actions. Your roadmap for our future is a highway to hell. You have exchanged the American dream for a socialist nightmare. To the American people, you have been lied to. Your taxes will be raised because of the actions of Democrats today. I shudder to think of what our country, our city on a hill, our beacon of freedom will look like in a generation we have delivered a nation devoid of treasure to our children. We will give account one day for our actions in this Congress. If we hand over a bankrupt legacy to our children, your actions today will be indicted and you will be without excuse. Madam Speaker, you were walking around with my generation's checkbook, and we want it back.
Okay, so hopefully you guys could hear that. I just wanted to kick it off with that emotional video. That's on Forbes breaking news. That was on August 24th, Warriors. It's a dangerous time right now, Warriors, and I want to show you why. I want to break this down for you guys. Let me remove this branding here so you can see this full thing, Okay, so let's take a look at this. Now, I've talked about the deflating dollar quite a bit with you guys. So one thing you want to think about, since 1913 to 2021, okay, you would say, okay, a dollar, it takes more to buy something with a dollar, right? But our pay's gone up. Warriors, your productivity has gone through the roof and your pay has not matched your productivity, okay? Things are more efficient, but you don't get paid more. You just got a pay raise, but guess what? Gas prices went from $1.67 to about $4 in Arizona, and California close to $6. You didn't get a pay raise. It's a mind F, Warriors. Every single time you get a raise, they raise inflation. So you think you're getting a raise. Now, let's look through this really quickly, okay? So in 1913, a Hershey bar, okay? A Hershey bar was $1, right? You could buy 30 Hershey bars with $1. Now it would take $26 to buy the same Hershey bar. 10 rolls of toilet paper in 1929, $1 could buy 10 rolls of toilet paper. Now it takes $15 to buy 10 rolls of toilet paper. The thing to think about, has our pay gone up that much? No. But now today, $1 will buy a McDonald's coffee. In 1913, you could buy 30 Hershey bars with $1. So you can see the chart here, but the things that I want you to look at here, okay? So this is, so the Federal Reserve creates a central bank with the ability to manage the country's money supply. So look what happens since that time. Look at that. So that's in 1913. They create a federal act to control the central bank to manage the country's money supply. Since they created that, we had a massive dip, and then it pops up a little bit around President Roosevelt, and then he criminalized the possession of gold. Well, once they criminalized the possession of gold, I think that's when they had you turn the gold back in, right? Well, look what happened, Warriors. That's around 1929, right? We had the massive stock market crash, and it's just deflated and deflated and deflated. And in 1971, around 1970, 1971, the gold standard, 1971, the gold standard was abandoned in August 1971 with President Nixon. And it's just been deflating and deflating and deflating. And in 2010, the quantitative easing began in response to the financial crisis. So that was around 2008, excuse me. So since 2008, they started printing like crazy. So we have to ask ourselves, who allowed that financial collapse to happen? Who in the government, who in banking allowed people to take no income stated loans, interest only loans, people buying who had didn't state their income or buying $1 million homes? Think about that. Okay, so now here we are, 2008 to 2021. They're printing money into oblivion. People in America are starting to get, if you have kids, you get a $250 check per kid. $250 check per kid. That is called, basically, they're just giving you money every single month. Every single month. That's UBI, Universal Basic Income, Warriors. So think about this. Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into this. Okay, so on the 23rd, we know that the SDR started printing at the SDR level. That was 2 days ago. Okay, so 2 days ago, they started printing at the SDR level. So about 200, where is it at? It's like a history in the making right here. Okay, this is a historical decision, the largest SDR allocation in history of the IMF, and a shot in the arm for the global economy at the time in unprecedented crisis. The SDR allocation will benefit all members, address the long-term global need for reserves, build confidence, and foster the resilience and stability of the global economy. Now, this is important right here. Build confidence as I show you the next part. Remember, the only reason your fiat currency, which is your government issued currency, has value is because of that word right there. So she said, build confidence. The reason why they're injecting this money in there, so you stay confident in the dollar, which is the world's reserve currency, that basically has no value. If you have confidence in it, you will continue to believe in it. But once you lose your confidence, it's done. It collapses. Okay. Once you lose your confidence, it's done. It collapses. And that's exactly what that senator was talking about. He's like, listen, this is not a game anymore. I mean, you can't kick the can down the road anymore. We are going to have to deal with this, Warriors. So there's going to be a massive, massive shift in between the rich and the poor, and there's going to be no middle class within the next 10 years, Warriors. It's going to be leveraged towards technology. So you need to wake up. I mean, people are so freaked out about all the stuff happening with the C and the V. And this is the real pandemic, Warriors. This is the real pandemic. This is how you're going to live. This is how you're going to survive. This is how you're going to pay to live. Think about that. We're the only living species that pays to live on Earth. So we created this monetary system, Warriors. So you got to be on one side of the coin or the other, having the resources to help people or complaining about the people who have the resources. Okay, so listen to this. So what the Federal Reserve debt ceiling means for your wallet, this is really important. If Congress can't reach a deal on the debt ceiling in September, it will impact everything from equities to interest rates. Here's a breakdown of what happens when a country runs a risk of a deficit. So where we stand right now, for starters, the federal debt is the amount of money the government currently owes for spending on payments such as Social Security, Medicare, military, salaries, and tax refunds. The debt limit allows the government to finance those existing obligations. They need to finance your tax refunds, your Social Security, your Medicare. We've been saying for a while that Social Security is going to run out. Increasing or suspending the debt limit does not increase government spending, nor does it authorize spending for future budget proposals. It simply allows Treasury to pay for previously enacted expenditures. That's from Janet Yellen. Congress and the White House have changed the debt ceiling almost 100 times. Okay, so I want to pause for just a moment before I read the rest of this. Imagine if we were able to go into the bank and we're not making more money, but we just keep saying to the bank, can you give me more debt? Can you give me more debt? Can you give me more debt? I need to keep this lifestyle up. I need to keep this lifestyle up. We can't do that, Warriors. Why are they able to do it? So since the end of World War II, according to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, in the 1980s, the debt ceiling increased to nearly $3 trillion from less than $1 trillion during the 1990s. Okay, it doubled nearly $6 trillion and doubled again in the 2000s to over $12 trillion. In 2019, Congress voted to suspend the debt ceiling limit until July 31st, 2021. Now the Treasury is using temporary emergency measures to buy more time as the government can keep paying its obligation to bondholders, veterans, Social Security recipients. Let me read that line again. Okay, the Treasury is using temporary emergency measures to buy more time so government can keep paying its obligations to the bondholders, veterans, and Social Security recipients. They literally need to raise the debt ceiling so they can give you your Social Security and help veterans. But once the government exhausts those measures, it will no longer be able to issue debt and could run out of cash on hand. Of course, U.S. government has never actually defaulted on its debt and its expenditures at the time either, yet that threat of defaulting has come up many times, and even that has its even that has its consequences. Okay. Some economists had hoped that Senate Democrats would include a debt ceiling increase, part of 3.5 spending trillion plan released Monday. But the budget resolution left out the ceiling entirely, and the government will be near the brink of default once again when the Senate returns from its summer recess midway through September. So what's at stake? The worst case scenario, the federal government would default at least temporarily on some of its obligations, including Social Security payments, veterans benefits, and salaries for federal workers. In addition, potential downgrades of the U.S. credit ratings would hammer Treasury. Demand for the U.S. bonds could sink and no longer consider a reliable, safe haven investments, and bondholders would demand dramatically high interest rates to compensate for the increased risk. That in turn would send the borrowing cost higher, including credit cards, car loans, mortgage rates, which generally are pegged to the yields and treasury bonds. Whereas this won't happen. They have to raise the debt ceiling, because if they raise the debt ceiling, Warriors, or if they raise interest rates, we are in a really tough position. So what we're going to watch now, okay, we're going to watch this video with Lynette Zhang, okay? Oh, it's fast forwarded here. Sorry, I'm having a tough morning with technology here. All right. Give me 1 second, Warriors. Let me go back. Sorry, I want to get to this one point here. All right, stand by. There we go. Okay, I'm going to show you this video real quick, and then I'm going to show you the actual document, and it's actually the Bank of England was working with Ripple. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, so I want you to listen to this video from Lynette Zhang. You can see this in the Growing Addiction on Lynette Zhang's channel, one of my favorite YouTubers. Okay, so now she's going to talk about quantitative easing. Now remember, I talked about the debt ceiling, right? Where we literally need to extend the debt ceiling. Our government can't even pay for their obligations, and they borrow money to pay your Social Security. They borrow money to pay for veterans benefits. So if you can't wake up to this, Warriors, it's a scary time. It's a scary time financially. You're worried about the wrong things. This is what you should be worried about. This is what you should be doing to protect your family. Okay, let's listen to this.
The system and the mechanism, and wow, it's so clean and beautiful, really, isn't it? So they create new money, and then they set it through the portfolio. They set that into the system, and people will go and rebalance their portfolio. Oh, I need more income than I can get off of this, so I'm going to take more risk, maybe in high yield bonds, leverage loans, whatever, because people don't read the contracts and the fine print and don't really understand or realize the risk that they're taking on. Policy signaling, market liquidity. So all of that sets up the next pace of it, which is pushing interest rates down and encouraging more debt. So that pushes the assets up. So they're borrowing money. I mean, we've seen the level of debt, whether it's individual or corporate or government or central bank. I mean, it's all in nosebleed levels. But that does push the asset prices up and the cost of that debt down, probably not in that order, but I'm not going to change their graphics. And that makes you feel wealthier and makes you more likely to go out and spend money. And that's really why they say that it is for stimulating the economy.
Okay, so this is really important. Remember, it goes back to your confidence in the dollar. So what they're doing is new money. It's just new money creation. We got a debt ceiling, right? So now you're getting checks every single month. They're literally trapping you, warriors, trapping you. You're getting the stimulus checks. You're getting your check every single month. Do you see what's happening, warriors? You got to focus on assets. What are you doing with those stimulus checks? Are you spending it on iPhones, Nike shoes, or you're going out to dinner? I mean, what are you doing with those checks, warriors? This is a critical moment for you to help your family get out of this debt-based trap.
It's not really what's happened. I mean, we've got these huge asset bubbles all over the place and lots of risk, but there's your theory at work. Now, they talk about this last little graph, which is hard to see, but it says inflation and growth. So much in this fiat system where inflation passes for growth. Because if you have to spend $20 on that banana and you need that banana, well, maybe you won't buy that blouse, but you're going to have to buy that banana. And that makes it look like growth, even though it's really inflation.
So that's basically what she's explaining is it tricks you into thinking that they're growing so they can come on, on the news and say, oh guys, we had quarter to date record growth. It's not record growth. Go back to the money creation. It's because of the money creation. Okay. And there's inflation. And so you're using the money that they inflated the economy with, right? You're using the money they gave you and you're going out and buying, like she said, a $20 banana. So it looks like there's growth. It's all a mind F, warriors. So think about that. Wake up.
And what that really is purchasing power destruction. So the wealthy that get all of this new money in, does little inflation bother them? Heck no, it doesn't bother them because they're converting that fiat into real assets.
Okay, key. I've been teaching you guys this. The Cantillon effect. It goes to the richest people first. It comes down to the common folk, and we're buying assets, warriors. Why do you think why is Bitcoin so popular right now? Why do you think everybody's saying get into gold and silver? Think about what the billionaires do, not what the multimillionaires are doing, what the billionaires are doing.
Impact the guys on the lower end of the income spectrum and the economic spectrum? Yeah, absolutely. Because their cost of food, their cost of rent, their cost of medical care, their cost of education, their cost of everything is going up faster than their wages. This is really the game plan. Now, here is the growing.
Okay, so that's basically what I'm going to show you real quickly. We're going to dive into this. We're going to go actually into the document. So this is where she got the document from. So you can go watch that from Lynette Zhang. I love her channel. I highly recommend you subscribe to it. They're big on gold and silver. That's actually where I buy my silver from. I think they're located in Phoenix, Arizona, where we're in this area. Okay, so this came out on February 17th. So this is the Bank of England. The QA is an economic policy tool. What does it do and how should we use it? Okay, so this is a chart that she was looking at on page 10. She was just going to dive into this chart right here. This just shows the interest rates, right? So this is around 2020. It shows the bank interest rates almost near 0.10, and they continue to lower the bank interest rates, right? So if they raise interest rates, it's going to be catastrophic, war. It's going to be catastrophic. We got the debt ceiling. That's in September, right? We got the Shemitah happening in December. We got an overvalued stock market. So get ready, warriors. I believe the crypto market's going to take off on the back end of this year. So be ready to pull profits. Be ready to kind of stockpile. Get ready to buy back into the crypto. Stock market crashes, look at those tech stocks, not financial advice. This is a time for you the common folk, to really, really take advantage of the biggest shift in generational wealth. The biggest shift in generational wealth is the baby boomers, but take advantage, the normal everyday person, to be able to amass a large amount of wealth to build for their family's future. So this is what she was talking about right here. If you want to go check it out, it's on page 10. So she asset purchases, which is money printing, right? Inflation and growth. And so it's just this vicious cycle we're in. And it goes back to this chart right here, warriors. Look at this. This is when the Federal Reserve was created, the central banks to protect the banks. Well, what happened? As soon as they did that, they deflated our money by printing money, by raising debt. So we're a debt-based society. You're trapped, warriors. You're not going to be able to get out of it unless you make moves now. Okay. So we go here. This is old old news, but this is July 17th. So if we look right here, this is the Bank of England, right? So the Bank of England printed this out here. So the Bank of England, so we know back in 2017, the Ripple proof of concept. So this is published on July 10th, 2017. So if you click on here, it's pretty cool. So they break down the whole Ripple proof of concept, looking at the DLT. It's really neat. So if you go through this whole document here, so Ripple was doing a test with them, and this was the results of the test, which is really cool. So results of the Bank of England Ripple proof concept published today. That was 2017. Okay, the Bank of England, BOV, recently released a blueprint in its next generation of real-time gross settlements, RTGS, which will form the backbone of the UK's payments infrastructure. One of the elements of the vision set out a blueprint was potentially adding synchronization capabilities to its future RTGS system. This would enable payments to RTGS to be executed simultaneously with the movement of other assets. One potential usage of the capability would be cross-border payments, where the movement of the RTGS system would be synchronized with movements of other currencies. Okay, so it's pretty cool. They actually used Ripple as the test subject, and you can actually go read the whole document. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up to you, Warriors, is this is a critical time in history. I mean, critical time in history for people to wake up. Now, I'm going to keep saying this. The reason why we're so confused, the reason why we're arguing about the things that we're arguing about, it's not that they don't matter to you. I'm not saying they're not important to you. But what I'm saying is they're the wrong things to be focused on right now, Warriors. It is by design. The reason why you're looking this way at a pandemic, there's a whole nother narrative going on this way. And I'm showing you facts, figures, numbers, logic. People at Senate are going after the House saying, what's going on? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? They're literally ruining our future, Warriors. But remember this, though. I want to put this on video because this stuff will go down in history. Every fiat currency has collapsed in history. Every single fiat currency has collapsed in history. And it collapses when these types of things are happening. So they're in a really, really tough position. You're in an even tougher position if you're not prepared. The tough position, and they're kicking the can down the street. They have to figure out how they can keep kicking the can down the street. So what they got to do is they got to keep you confident. They got to keep giving you money. Why are they just printing money? Why, Warriors? Why? Think about that. And what are they doing, Warriors? They're trying to get into the CBDCs, right? Why are all the billionaires moving into Bitcoin, Ethereum? Why are all these hedge funds moving into Bitcoin? Why is Michael Saylor trying to get all these CEOs to move into Bitcoin, Tesla? You got to read what billionaires are doing, not multimillionaires, billionaires, Warriors. They're moving into assets, gold, silver, companies, properties. So, Warriors, this is your time. This is your time. So if you want to join our private Warrior Academy, click the link down below. You have access to my portfolio, exit strategy. We got multiple calls throughout the week, cryptocurrency calls. We have our research team. You have our technical analysis team you can communicate with. We also have our 120-day challenge. I challenge you to get through our 120-day challenge, subconscious mind programming, goal setting, vision board creation, everything you need, description down below. The Instagram page, I only have one Instagram page. I'm getting hundreds of messages a day. It's down below in the YouTube. That's the only one I have, Warriors. I know it's a longer video. I appreciate you. I love you, but it's time to rise, Warriors. Warriors, rise. Get your shit together. Let's go.